If you thought the biggest twist in Evita was the plot, think again. Rachel Zegler's backstage drama could be the real showstopper.
Even the Vegas bookies are betting on this meltdown. Looks like Evita's financial freefall just turned into the hottest gamble in town.
She's the definition of toxic. Everywhere she shows up, disaster is right behind her.
What if the actress who lit up Broadway and reportedly banked hundreds of dollars a week doing it suddenly claimed she was the real victim all along? That question lit up theater Twitter at sunrise. Right after Rachel Zegler's PR team dropped what they called an emergency statement. And let's just say, the timing could not have been worse.
So is this a meltdown or marketing strategy? Either way, pass the popcorn, because when Rachel is involved, you know it's going to be the greatest show on earth.
After weeks of headlines about record losses, backstage blowups, and a fan base practically frothing at the mouth, the idea that Rachel needed rescuing felt like someone just doused the last unburned piece of the stage curtain in gasoline. Still, before anyone could decide whether to laugh, rage, or grab popcorn, the statement leaked. And the fallout? Even the most battle-hardened Broadway vets took a step back.
Guess my $5 coffee addiction wasn't the financial meltdown Broadway was worried about? Try $100,000 a week for singing in the shower.
Was this a last-ditch attempt to save her next big paycheck? Or the spark that might finally blow the doors off whatever was still standing? The backlash that sent her team scrambling had been simmering since the paycheck bombshell dropped. Reddit was ruthless. Men there were comparing her weekly haul to entire minor league hockey team payrolls. One blogger even joked that her Evita contract could bankroll an indie action flick starring 3 washed-up wrestlers, and still leave enough. Tip money for beer.
A lot of what you see with Zegler is really just a pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work. She believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth, or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. And one of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project, thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
Twitter, never shy with the pitchforks, kept churning out hashtags like #NumRefundVita and @Paygate. Each new wave brought fresh memes of fans holding up empty wallets in rows of empty theater seats. Even LinkedIn, normally the quiet land of suits and humble brags, devolved into messy debates. Should any actor, even a superstar, really pull 6 figures a week? While the orchestra's worried about buying groceries, the noise was deafening, the kind of PR team can't just mute. So Rachel's handlers did what every crisis team eventually does, dusted off the emergency playbook. The statement dropped like a cymbal crash in a silent church, less carefully crafted, and more drummer solo at a funeral. It claimed Rachel had been unfairly targeted, was deeply hurt, and that she remained committed to fostering positivity.
Anyways, I've been getting a lot of hate comments lately, which is really hilarious, but they're all from the same girl, and it's actually hilarious. Like, her comments tell me that I'm not fit to play princesses. Then why have I played 2? I have another callback for the West Side movie in early June. I'll let you guys know how that goes. And otherwise, I'm just balling. I'm just living my best life.
But instead of reading like an apology, it came off more like a self-penned tribute. Polished, rehearsed, and soaked in PR gloss. Not a single beat of real humility. It didn't whisper, "I'm sorry." It shouted, "Respect me," from a rooftop with a megaphone. See, a real apology wears humility like a custom-tailored suit. It disarms, it connects, maybe even makes you feel something. But this one, it marched in like it owned the stage, wearing a neon sign that screamed entitlement. Every line echoed, like a bad monologue through the empty halls of a half-sold-out theater.
The Rachel Zegler effect has begun. According to scooper Daniel RPK, Rachel Zegler has been recast in Paddington 3 due to strikes, but I have a sneaking suspicion the strikes are only a cop-out for the fact that she has had so much negative press. She is certainly one of the key reasons why the Snow White movie is absolutely doomed. She's probably one of the key reasons why the next Hunger Games movie is gonna totally flop. And now the folks that are making the 3rd Paddington movie are probably just using the strikes as an excuse to make sure that she's recast. Because I think if they outwardly said, well, we recast her because she just ruins everything she touches, that might not be a good look from the studio.
Fans, especially the 70% male audience who have zero patience for corporate fluff, smelled the spin a mile away. They hit the comments with eye-roll emojis, sarcastic hashtags, and blunt reminders. Respect, like ticket sales, is earned. Not, demanded. Some even made side-by-side memes comparing Rachel's apology to an Oscar speech, the kind where the music swells, the lights dim, and she just refuses to leave the stage. But the real jaw-dropper? That final line. Any further defamation will be met with decisive legal action. Boom. Like a stiletto heel to the face in the middle of a bar fight. Even her die-hard supporters blinked. Why threaten the very people still buying tickets, unless there's something bigger, colder, and hidden beneath the surface? Some fans called it a power move, a warning shot to silence critics. Others said it reeked of panic, like a last ditch. Hail Mary to keep a crumbling image from flatlining completely.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Right. Every time that a celebrity gets like one DM that says KYS, they're like, I'm getting death threats! Someone save me, but not a prince! Don't.
Anybody but a prince!
Don't you dare save me.
She's like, I'm getting these death threats, and the cops were like, well, save yourself. Like,
yeah, you're a girl boss, aren't you?
I saw that interview. Save yourself. You'll be fine.
Word traveled fast. Evita's already shaky budget had officially gone from tight to tourniquet, a term usually reserved for paramedics, now Broadway code for call accounting before this thing bleeds out on stage. Whispers among insiders painted a brutal picture. Between Rachel's rumored bonuses, weekly social media payouts, a cut of merch profits that would make a stadium pop star jealous, and that now infamous morale clause, the one that paid her extra. Every time Twitter took a day off from dragging her, the show's books looked like a jump scare from a horror film. Producers, grizzled Broadway vets with silver hair, and the haunted eyes of people who'd survived more than one seven-figure flop suddenly found themselves face-to-face with board members waving spreadsheets that bled red ink.
We forget while everyone was enjoying the film, the actors were being paid residuals. Like, they were literally being paid barely anything for their work, and we wonder why Rachel Zegler is speaking out against this. Like, I don't know, maybe it makes perfect sense because that was her first experience with the film industry, and like, yeah, she was kind of screwed. Like, yeah. And listen, she turned out fine. Like, she's making a lot more money than I am, but, you know, I would be pissed too!
One accountant reportedly called it the biggest backstage bar fight since Cats, which, in Broadway speak, is code for start packing. Meanwhile, investors weren't just nervous, they were furious. They wanted answers, and they wanted them yesterday. Rumors swirled that a few had already hit up their lawyers, prepping for the kind of boardroom brawl that leaves no chandelier standing. To some insiders, that emergency statement from Rachel's team wasn't really about soothing hurt feelings. It was damage control, aimed squarely at the people holding the purse strings, the ones who thought Evita was a safe bet, not a six-figure ticking time bomb. But what if those same investors were already lawyering up? And what if Rachel's camp was ready to go to war? Armed with contracts, NDAs, and a smile that practically said, try me.
It's all Rachel Zegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody, pissing off all of America, and it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made. But the onus is all on her.
Sure, it feels like every aspect of this just seems to breed controversy, and yet that's just another aspect of it. By all accounts, they do not get on particularly well.
Whispers of a courtroom showdown were spreading faster than backstage gossip at intermission, the kind that starts in row B and ends up in the dressing rooms before Act 2. One rumor claimed producers were drafting breach of contract papers, finally, calling Rachel's massive paycheck what they suspected all along, a bluff. Another whispered that her agents had their own legal grenades locked and loaded. If even one confidential figure leaked, they'd unleash a flurry of lawsuits, defamation, lost earnings, emotional distress, designed to drown Broadway's legal teams in red tape for months. It was shaping up like a heavyweight title match. Two sides circling the ring, gloves raised, accountants. In the corners, icing bruised ledgers. Each side swore they had the winning hand. And for the average male viewer tracking this chaos like a finance-themed reality show, this legal brinkmanship, better than anything currently streaming.
I am just thoroughly convinced that Rachel Zegler is the unluckiest lucky person that has ever existed. Like, we just need to take a look through of her entire career, and like, you'll understand once you see. Okay, so first, imagine you have the voice of an angel. Like, she has one of the best singing voices that I've ever heard. At 16, she starts auditioning for the part of Maria in West Side Story. But mind you, this isn't any West Side Story remake. This is a Spielberg West Side Story remake. And at 17, you get the part, right? Your first ever acting job is playing the lead in a Spielberg movie. Insane. But then your co-star has all of these allegations come out, so they ramp down all of the PR for this movie. Then your co-star for one of your next movies is also a terrible person. Okay, maybe third time's the charm. You get cast to play the Snow White. But never mind, your co-star is a Zionist. Literally pray for her.
This was the kind of drama where every lawyer's letter felt like a pay-per-view event. Yet beneath the chaos, one big question lingered, like the smell of burnt popcorn after the final act. Who blinks first when both sides believe they're holding the trump card? Could producers risk alienating the star who once packed theaters, assuming there are even seats left to fill? Or would Rachel's team actually risk nuking what's left of her Broadway future just to prove a point? Fans didn't wait for judges to weigh in. Reddit threads lit up like a Christmas tree, tallying rumored weekly losses with all the passion of sports analysts recapping Sunday scores. Discord servers flooded with screenshots comparing Rachel's alleged paycheck to star quarterbacks, UFC champs, and even celebrity chefs. One fan even ran the numbers on how many Mustang GTs you could buy with a month of her salary. The answer? Roughly a whole fleet, fully loaded, with enough left over for insurance. Mid-video quick check, guys. Do you think any star is worth that kind of cash? Or is Broadway just off its rocker? Drop your verdict below. We read every spicy take. Meanwhile, on Twitter, petitions circulated demanding she return part of the money for the good of the cast, as if one refund could fix the meltdown that had already spread like wildfire. Some fans pushed for boycotts of any future projects until she paid it forward, dubbing her the poster child for celebrity greed. Others just wanted to watch the whole thing burn, popcorn in hand, cheering for the next meltdown. But the noise only kept amplifying. Each tweet bounced back louder and more savage than the last, until it felt like the entire internet was one roaring crowd demanding the final curtain. Behind the scenes, a different drama brewed, one with nothing to do with ticket sales or curtain. Calls and everything to do with cold, hard cash. Industry insiders whispered Rachel's team was scrambling to lock down a major streaming film, one that could spin her image from Broadway meltdown to box office redemption overnight. But the negative. Exposure she'd soaked up threatened to scare even the most fearless backers. According to one unconfirmed memo, passed around faster than gossip in a high school locker room, executives started asking the kind of uncomfortable questions that keep agents awake at night. If audiences now associate her with runaway budgets, meltdown hashtags, and a social media firestorm that refuses to die down, will they still click play on a 2-hour film? Or will they just scroll past, already exhausted by the endless controversy? Meanwhile, Rachel's digital following, the currency of modern celebrity, showed signs of fatigue no agent wants to see. Engagement dips, unfollow spikes, and a steady stream of snarky comments that could drive even the most seasoned PR veteran to reach for a stress ball in an age where followers equal potential ticket buyers, or at least the illusion of a built-in audience. Those numbers can send financiers running faster than a stagehand spotting a falling prop. The emergency statement, some suspected, wasn't just about silencing critics. It was a last-ditch attempt to stem the bleeding long enough to close the next deal. Because in this business, the difference between a comeback and a cautionary tale often boils down to whether the check's clear before the next payroll run. And what if that lifeline needed to land before the last standing investor flipped the switch and turned off the lights? Broadway rumor mills chewed on talk of blacklists like a dog with a fresh bone. One casting director allegedly muttered producers might quietly move on from Rachel for the foreseeable future, the same way you pretend not to notice a leak in the ceiling until the landlord shows up. Another claimed theater owners, spooked by headline risks, would rather book a safe revival than gamble on a lightning rod with a contract longer than the tax code. Of course, Broadway thrives on comebacks. One killer performance, one viral redemption video, and audiences forget. Even the most epic flameouts. But this fiasco felt different. The numbers were too big, the statement too tone-deaf, the anger too widespread. If Rachel could no longer guarantee ticket sales without also igniting a PR minefield, would any show dare roll the dice, especially with the entire internet waiting for the next meltdown? Some insiders argued the meltdown was actually a calculated gambit, a classic move from the modern PR playbook. Stir controversy, dominate the news cycle, then pivot sympathy her way. See a formula as old as clickbait headlines and viral hashtags. It was the kind of strategy that might make even the most skeptical investor pause and wonder if Rachel's team was playing 3D chess while everyone else was stuck in checkers. But the move spectacularly misfired when the crowd smelled canned theatrics instead of raw vulnerability. Every social media post, every carefully worded press release started to feel like a corporate press kit rather than a genuine moment of crisis management. Instead of connecting with fans, Rachel's camp only poured more fuel on the fire. Worse, each new attempt to steer the narrative reopened wounds from the initial paycheck leak, the $100,000 a week bombshell that started it all. Fans who'd been outraged now felt downright insulted, as if the star had decided they were too stupid to remember why they were angry in the first place. Audiences stayed on high alert, dissecting every word of every statement like amateur detectives searching for any sign of authenticity or another hidden bonus clause. Meanwhile, the offstage theatrics overshadowed the art on stage, turning what should have been a night of theater into a never-ending reality TV episode. If there's one thing our mostly male viewers respect, it's transparency, own the hustle, or at least throw in enough swagger to make it entertaining. Instead, they got corporate word salad served with a side of legal threat, and the appetite for forgiveness shrank by the hour. By the time the dust settled, if you can even call a swirling media storm settled, one thought echoed through the cheap seats and orchestra pit alike. Had Rachel's team embraced the meltdown as unavoidable collateral damage? Or was this truly an unforced error, spiraling out of control? More documents might leak tomorrow, swinging the narrative yet again. Another insider could drop a behind-the-scenes audio clip in a tabloid inbox, or an emboldened cast member might release a podcast bombshell about demands for extra satin in Isar costume fittings. Every player, from investors to understudies, weighs the benefits of silence against the instant rush of viral attention. And if there's one lesson from this saga so far, silence rarely wins clicks, and every click fuels the next twist. Rachel's alleged paycheck, emergency statement, and financial freefall have fused into a case study Broadway historians will chew on for years. Was she a savvy negotiator pushing an outdated industry to pay what star power is really worth? Or did her oversized contract become the stone that cracked Evita's foundation? The PR meltdown meant to douse the fire only fed the flames, turning a backstage money fight into primetime soap opera. Whether Rachel bounces back with a smash, hit film, or watches producers quietly close doors remains to be seen. One thing's for sure, this drama's final curtain has not dropped, so buckle up, because the next twist is probably already rehearsing in the wings. Think Rachel's statement was a fair defense, or just another layer of spin on a runaway scandal? Tell us in the comments below, and let the debate rage on as we dig up the next big revelation waiting in the wings.